Hello and welcome to Ycft Hosts a Movie. We are your hosts, David and Sam, and in proper Ycft fashion, I'm going to say we're doing something a little bit different. We have done movie commentaries, like full-length movie commentaries, on this channel before. We're not doing that this time. We are going to be playing the movie in its entirety, but we're going to do more of a hosting gig in the vein of like Elvira's Movie Macabre and Joe Bob Briggs's Last Drive-In. So we're going to introduce the movie, let the entire movie play out, having breaks at several points just to talk about little facts about it and what we think about the scenes that we've just watched, and then we'll round up at the end. So Sam, what are we watching tonight?
We are watching a little British film called City of the Dead. It was released in 1960 in the UK, released in September of 1960. It was released in the US under a totally different name, Horror Hotel. Potentially in the year 1961 or 1962. Sources do tend to vary.
Yeah, sources differ.
Sources differ. It was a very low budget production. It had an estimated budget of around £45,000 to £47,000. It was interestingly partly funded by Nottingham Forest Football Club, as well as I gather, an independent producer.
Which feels like the most British
it really does.
way to fund a movie. So this is a British film, set in America, but with British actors putting on American accents to varying degrees of success. We're looking at you, the late great Christopher Lee.
Yes, we love you, Christopher Lee, but I think it took me... So I've seen this movie a fair few times. It is a childhood favourite of mine, and it took me a ridiculously long time to realise that this was actually set in America.
There is no city.
There is no city, no. And there are no zombies.
No, I thought this was a zombie movie, and I know there is a film called City of the Living Dead.
There is, not to be confused with this.
But no, this is about witches.
It is. There is a coven involved.
So join us as we travel to the City of the Dead, totally in America, and we will see you guys in a little bit.
Bring out Elizabeth Selwyn.
Witch! Burn the witch!
thou, Cain? Hast thou consorted with the witch Elizabeth Selwyn?
No.
Burn the witch!
Help her, Lucifer. Help her.
Elizabeth Selwyn, on this 3rd day of March, in the year of our Lord 1692, we, the people of Whitewood, Massachusetts, condemn thee as a witch. May the flames cleanse thy soul of its evil, of its lust for blood, and may they bring about the death of Abigail Adams.
Help her, Lucifer. Help her.
I have made my pact with thee, O Lucifer. Hear me! Hear me! I will do thy bidding for all eternity. For all eternity shall I practice the ritual of Black Mass. For all eternity shall I sacrifice unto thee. I'll give thee my soul. Take me into thy service.
O Lucifer, listen to thy servant. Grant her this pact for all eternity, and I with her. And if we fail thee but once, you may do with our souls what you will.
Make this city an example of thy vengeance. Curse it! Curse it for all eternity! And let me be the instrument of thy curse. Hear me, O Lucifer. Hear me! Making a curse. Curse?
Burn, witch, burn, witch, burn, burn, burn.
So shouted the people of Whitewood when they burned Elizabeth Selwyn in 1692. Though, as I've said, little is known today of the actual practice of witchcraft in 17th century New England, superstition, fear, and jealousy drove the Puritans to accuse their friends and relatives of consorting with the devil. Parading around huge bonfires, repeating vindictive chants, they consigned the poor creatures to the flames. The tortured souls cried out in agony as the flames mounted higher and higher. Burn, witch, burn, witch, burn, burn, burn.
Dig that crazy beat.
Shh.
That will be all for today. Tomorrow will be my concluding lecture on the history of witchcraft in 17th century New England. I shall bring along some illustrations which I'm sure will interest you all.
I'll bring the matches.
Maitland! Since you chose to attend these lectures, I had hoped that it was in a spirit of scientific curiosity about the subject. That'll be all.
Bill, how could you?
He takes it all so darn seriously. He's got you all hypnotized.
Oh, Miss Barlow.
Yes, Professor.
Can I see you for a moment, please?
What about our date?
I'll meet
Look, I'll wait for you outside, huh?
you. Yes, Professor.
Rather a difficult young man, that. I fear that you are more of an attraction to him than my poor efforts. However, I've been reading through your papers, Miss Barlow. They show a very sound appreciation of the subject.
I want to go to New England to do my senior paper.
Mm-hmm. They're really quite good, you know.
Oh, I'm not quite satisfied. I feel I need some first-hand research. I want to get the atmosphere. Find out how widespread witchcraft really was, what the witches were really like.
Well, that might take a little time, you know.
Well, I have the time. My brother and I were going to spend our vacation with our cousins. What I'd really like to do is to get a room in the smallest, oldest town in New England I can find. Check through all the town hall records, recheck the libraries, talk to the Puritan descendants, make a really thorough investigation.
Your brother is professor of science, Miss Barlow. I hardly think he'd be very interested in the history of witchcraft.
Then I'd go alone.
You don't think he'd object to that?
You leave Richard to me. He's picking me up here for lunch.
Hello, Bill. Professor Barlow. Nan here? Yeah, she's in there with him. Well, I don't like her getting mixed up in this witchcraft business.
Why not? It's only part of a history course.
I want to find out
Professor
how
Barlow.
widespread witchcraft really was.
Before you go in there, could I have a word with you?
Sure.
Well, it's about Nan and me.
Oh.
If you're really serious about this, I happen to know of a town in New England. As a matter of fact, it's the identical place where the events occurred that I mentioned in today's lecture, Whitewood. It's quite a small place. It's a little bit off the beaten track, so maybe these directions will help you.
Thank you.
I think you might very well find what you're looking for there. I happen to know the woman who owns the inn at Whitewood. Her name is Newless, Mrs. Newless. So you just tell her I sent you.
Raven's Inn, Whitewood.
What's Whitewood?
Now, Dick, don't be too upset, but I'm going to change my plans for the vacation.
Change your plans?
Yes. Going to a place called Whitewood for a week or so to do some research.
Who are you? And what about Cousin Sue? Why, she's expecting you for a birthday party on the 17th. She'll never forget.
I can still easily make it by then. This is important. My term paper's got to be good. It could mean a scholarship.
And I've made all the arrangements.
Come on, Dick. You'll have a good time without me. My mind's made up. I'm going to Whitewood.
But surely any good encyclopedia will give you all the nonsense you want to know about witchcraft.
Witchcraft is not nonsense, Barlow.
I'm sorry, Driscoll. Witchcraft, black magic, sorcery. To me, it's nothing but fairy tale mumbo-jumbo. I'm a scientist, Driscoll. I believe what I can see, what I can feel and touch.
The basis of fairy tales is reality. The basis of reality is fairy tales.
Well,
As a scientist, you should be familiar with that quotation.
Yeah, well, I don't believe that somebody in Chicago can die of a heart attack because some woman in New Orleans sticks a pin in a wax doll.
Maybe you don't, but practitioners of voodoo claim otherwise.
Dick, you're just being difficult.
No. When I look into a microscope, Driscoll, I see bacteria swimming, fighting, existing. That's real. These witches that were persecuted and burnt in the 17th century were real, too, but they weren't witches. They were pitiful human beings, victims of hysteria.
There are many eminent scholars who have documentary proof of the actual practice of witchcraft.
Yeah, but how effective was this practice? Did any of these eminent scholars ever meet a real practicing witch? Did you ever meet a witch, Driscoll?
Perhaps.
Oh, come on, you're an historian. No witch ever survived the burning at the stake for all that pact with the devil.
In 1692, Elizabeth Selwyn went to the stake. She was buried in a churchyard in New England. And yet 3 years later...
Yeah?
3 years later, a new wave of blood sacrifices broke out in the village that had condemned her. The daughters of the elders who had condemned her were themselves found murdered with every last drop of blood drained from their bodies. And afterwards, people came forward to testify that they had actually seen Elizabeth Selwyn.
Oh, stop. This would be more effective at midnight with howling winds and crashing thunder, and even then it wouldn't frighten anyone.
Dick, I'm sorry, Professor Driscoll.
That's all right, Miss Barlow. You won't be the first person to have scoffed at the subject.
Honey, when you get to, where is it?
Whitewood.
Ah, yes, Whitewood. Well, send me a picture postcard of a witch. If possible, autographed. Now, let's have some lunch, eh?
I'm sorry, I have a date.
Nan, darling, I still don't see why you have to go off to this Whitewood place. Now, I thought we were going to have some time together during this vacation.
You know I want to be with you. It's just this is important.
Look, what the heck can you find that hasn't been found before?
I don't know. It's just that maybe, hidden in some attic or buried in some old antique shop, there's something that might give a whole new outlook to the subject.
What new outlook can there be?
You're a science student, honey. You know how important research is.
But this isn't about anything real. This is just superstitious people burning silly old women.
But suppose the women weren't silly. Suppose they really had a pact with the devil. A pact that could have supernatural power.
Oh, come on. What kind of power?
I don't know.
Oh, look, it's no use, Bill. We've both tried our hardest to talk her out of going.
Do you really think she will find anything worthwhile?
Well, I think we have to respect her desire to find something new, even if we don't agree with the subject.
Agree with it? I've never heard so much nonsense as that guy Driscoll talks in all my life.
Well, here I am, all packed.
Oh, I suppose there's nothing I can say will stop you from going, huh? Yeah, well, I'll put this in the car.
I still hoped you'd change your mind, Nan.
Don't worry, darling. I'll be back as quick as I can, and I'll write.
Well, don't forget me altogether, huh?
I won't. Give Sue my love, and don't forget we have a date at her party.
Goodbye, darling.
Excuse me, can you help me? I seem to be lost.
Sure, if I can.
I'm looking for the Wamport Road.
Wamport Road, hardly anyone uses that anymore.
Well, my friend gave me the directions. Take Road 28A, turn onto the Wamport Road, bear left at the fork through to Whitewood.
Whitewood?
Am I that far away?
No, ma'am, not far. Not many God-fearing folks visit Whitewood nowadays. If I were you, I'd...
If you'll excuse me, I'm in a hurry. Which way is it?
Well, follow this road about 2 miles. You come to a fork. There'll be a sign, Wamport Road. Turn left, keep straight. There'll be Whitewood.
Thank you very much. Does that sign say Wamport Road?
Wamport Road, yes.
Oh, good. I was afraid I missed it.
Is it Whitewood you seek?
Yes.
I, too. Would I be imposing if...
No, of course not. Get in.
Thank you.
I think the Highway Commission would do something about these roads. Watch out, here comes another bump.
What is your mission in Whitewood?
Mission? Well, I'm going there to do some research on witchcraft. Professor Driscoll gave us some very interesting lectures on the subject, and I'm going there to get some original source material. Do you know Whitewood?
I've known it for many years.
Do you go there often?
Fairly often.
Oh, then you must know the Raven's Inn.
I shall be resting there.
Oh, so shall I. Oh, my name's Nan Barlow.
My name's Jethro Keene.
Pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you.
Just like a picture out of a history book. I feel as though I were in the 17th century. Why hasn't Whitewood been written about?
It's off the beaten path. Few tourists come here. For Whitewood, time stands still.
Look at that church. Must have been beautiful. What a shame they let it get so run down. Straight on?
Yes, follow the road around.
Ah, there it is. What a lovely old building. 17th century at least. How picturesque can you get? Right by the graveyard.
Yes, it has not been used for more than 200 years.
Any witches buried there?
There are indeed. All in a section of unconsecrated ground.
Spooky, isn't it? Well, keep your fingers crossed for me, Mr. Keene. I hope Mrs. Newell has that room. Oh, I didn't hear you come in. Are you Mrs. Newless? Oh, I'm Nan Barlow. I was told I might find a room here. I was recommended by a friend of mine, Professor Driscoll. Perhaps you know him.
That will be all, Lottie. Sorry to keep you waiting. Unfortunately, Lottie cannot talk. I've often told her not to answer the bell.
Oh, poor thing. Then you're Mrs. Newless.
I am. May I help you?
Yes, I'd like to have a room here for 2 weeks.
The hotel is quite full. Oh, the guests are never about at this time of the day.
Well, I'm a student of Professor Driscoll's. He told me if I mentioned his name, I'd have no trouble.
Well, there is a room I could let you have. It's just off the lobby.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Mrs. Newless, that plaque. Is it true that Elizabeth Selwyn was really burnt here for being a witch?
She was?
And do you believe she was a witch?
Come along. I'll show you to your room. I hope you will be comfortable. Yes, it is a nice room. The previous occupants have always found it most agreeable. Well, if there's anything you should need, just ring the bell for me at the desk.
Thank you.
It's been so many months. I've counted the days to this holiday.
So have the others. It wasn't easy for some of my guests to get here. Many had to travel vast distances.
I was lucky. The last few miles were enchanting. Miss Barlow is very good company.
You must be tired, Jethro. Your room is ready. I am prepared.
Oh, Mrs. Newless. I thought I'd have a short look around town. I won't be gone long.
I think you'll find the church interesting. Unfortunately, it no longer has a congregation.
He will be pleased.
I'm told this was once a house of worship.
It is still a house of worship. I am the reverend of this church. As long as the breath of life is within me, this house shall remain God's house.
Must have been a beautiful building.
To me, it is still beautiful.
I'm sorry. What a shame the people have let it fall into such a state.
Strangers rarely come to Whitewood. Who are you?
I'm Nan Barlow. I'm staying at the Raven's Inn.
Why have you come to Whitewood?
Well, because I'm interested in witchcraft.
Young woman, leave Whitewood. Leave Whitewood tonight. For 300 years, the devil has hovered over this city, made it his own. The people in it are his. Evil has triumphed over good here. Look at my church. I have no parish. No one worships here. His is the power.
What power?
Leave Whitewood. Leave Whitewood tonight. I beg of you.
What power?
Leave before it is too late.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Please excuse the mess. We haven't been open long.
You have some very interesting things here.
Yes, they belong to my grandmother. When she died, I came back to sort things out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then you don't live here?
No, my family have lived here for generations, but I've just been back a few weeks. Would you like to have a look around?
Thank you. Oh, I didn't mean to frighten you when I came in. It's just that all the people I've met here have acted like I'm a person from another world.
They don't see many strangers here.
And I had the most, well, unusual experience with the Reverend. He barred my way from the church. And he talked to me about a curse. And he warned me to leave Whitewood. Can you explain that?
No, I can't.
Does he often act that way?
He's my grandfather.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right. It's happened before with strangers. Oh, the lack of parishioners and loss of his sight has made him bitter and suspicious.
I'm afraid what with him and the town, I was very scared. When I saw your lights, I made a dash for them.
I'm glad you did.
Do you have any books or pamphlets on witchcraft? You do, don't you? A friend of mine...
Well, we have a collection gathering dust, but why on earth would you be interested in... Oh, I'm sorry. It's really none of my business.
Oh, no, that's all right. I'm studying it in college, and I've come here to write my term paper.
Well, just wait. I'll see what I can find. That's Elizabeth Selwyn, burned as a witch, March 3rd, 1692.
Yes, I know. I saw the plaque in the lobby of the hotel.
You were staying at the Ravens Inn?
Yes. It was recommended to me by a friend of mine, Professor Driscoll.
Alan Driscoll?
Yes, do you know him?
No, but my grandfather speaks of him. His family come from here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Here, I think this will do for a start. What a lovely locket. May I see it?
I believe it's quite old.
Oh, it is. You're very lucky.
I'm even more lucky to have found this. A treatise on devil worship in New England. This must be a very rare book. I'm afraid I couldn't afford to buy it.
You can borrow it, if you like.
Oh, could I? That would be wonderful. I promise I'll bring it back in a few days.
You're very welcome, Miss,
Barlow. Nan Barlow.
Nan Barlow.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night.
Mrs. Newless? Mrs. Newless?
Yes, Miss Barlow?
I've heard some strange noises in my room.
Oh, possibly the water in the pipes. This is a very old inn.
No, it seemed to be coming from the cellar underneath.
I hardly think so, Miss Barlow. The cellars do not extend beneath your room.
Then why is there a trapdoor in the floor?
The ground was filled in many years ago to strengthen the foundations of the building.
But I'm sure
Well, if you insist, I will come and see. I don't hear anything.
Well, just a few minutes ago. Never mind, I'm sorry.
You're welcome. But you can see for yourself there is no ring in the trapdoor because there is no reason to lift it. There is nothing underneath but earth.
Come in. Oh, hello, Lottie. Come in. Oh, I don't need any more towels. I haven't used mine, and they're quite clean.
Lottie, I've told you before not to bother the guests. Miss Barlow, I thought you might care to join the others.
I will as soon as I finish my notes. I'll put some clothes on and join them.
A treatise on devil worship in New England. Well, do you find this interesting?
Why, it's fascinating. The things I've learned. I bet you don't know the half of it. And you lived right here on a spot where the witches were actually burnt. Listen to this. On Candlemas Eve, February 1st, in the year 1692, a coven of witches, a coven that's 13, some men, some women, whose power came from the devil, gathered beneath the Ravens Inn to perform a black mass in the honor of Lucifer. The witch Elizabeth Selwyn, later to be burnt at the stake, marked a young girl for sacrifice by obtaining an object of value belonging to her with which to call her, and leaving in its place a dead bird and a sprig of woodbine. The witches sacrificed her on the altar, and drank her blood at the hour of 13. What's the hour of 13?
Well, personally, I have never heard a clock strike more than 12. Now, how about joining the dancing?
In a little while, I promise. Oh, by the way, I seem to have misplaced my locket. I remember having it in my room, and now it's disappeared.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll ask Lottie.
Well, I'm not saying it was stolen. It's just, I remember having it on the dresser, and now it's gone. I would appreciate it.
Of course. I'll look into it immediately. Lottie, I have warned you too often about annoying our guests. If you disobey me again, I shall turn you out. And if I turn you out, there will be no place for you anywhere. You do understand, Lottie, don't you? Ah, Miss Barlow. I'm afraid Lottie is nowhere to be found, but I will inquire about your locket first thing in the morning.
Oh, thank you. Where is everybody?
Most of the other guests have gone to services.
Services on the 1st of February? Candlemas Eve. The night when the witches mocked the rituals of the church.
Are you all right, Miss Barlow?
Yes, quite. Thank you. Good night.
Good night, Miss Barlow.
Mrs. Nolas! Mrs. Nolas! Mrs. Nolas!
Elizabeth Selwyn.
No, no!
11.
No! Let go of me! Let
12.
go!
So,
So,
what do you think of that so far?
I love it. I love everything about it.
Yeah. Well, who actually directed this? What's his name?
It's a guy called John Moxey, and from what I can gather, this was his feature film debut as well. He went on to do a lot of TV episodes for various British shows. I think he was a British director. I think he does a really good job.
He does it. There's a great atmosphere. I'm loving all the fog, the set design.
Definitely.
I think Venetia Stevenson. Is that it?
Venetia Stevenson, I think. Yeah. So
Yeah.
she's Nan, our main character. R.I.P.
Interestingly, we lost her just last year.
Just last year, yeah.
She was weirdly has the credit of introducing in this when she'd actually started like 7 features before this. Maybe this is like considering this film was going to go over to America, maybe it would have been an introducing for American audiences.
Yeah, potentially.
Didn't you say she there's a couple of Psycho comparisons?
Yes. Just to point out a few things that we noticed. So, yeah, this film was released in the UK in 1960, like we said. Psycho was also released in the same year. Bearing in mind City of the Dead, it was just released in the UK. It wasn't released in the US until at least a year, maybe 2 years later.
They were in production at the same time.
But they were in production at the same time. And even just in terms of plot structure, there are a few similarities. I mean, our main character has just been killed off very unceremoniously around the 40-minute mark into the film.
Yeah, obviously just like
Janet Leigh.
Just like Janet Leigh in Psycho.
Nan Barlow goes to stay at a little inn. Obviously Janet Leigh goes to stay at a...
It's not a hotel.
It's not quite a hotel, no. It is very much a little inn. But yeah, there are just a few similarities, and we'll see it as we go into the story. But obviously she has a very loving partner. She's got a loving brother. Very similar plot in Psycho as well, where when Janet Leigh disappears, it's her sister and it's her boyfriend who come to the rescue or conduct the investigation. So yeah, these are two films that are just totally unconnected. They're not similar production companies. No one from the two productions were involved in the making of either film, but it's just one of those rare occurrences, I guess, where there was just a very similar train of thought.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened a lot throughout cinema, hasn't it?
Throughout
Things
cinema,
like White Horse Down and Angel is Falling, both films about the president under attack, both happening at the same time. And it has happened like a fair few times throughout cinema history.
Yeah.
And there was another Psycho connection, because she was actually Venetia,
I think.
She was friends with Anthony Perkins.
She was, yeah. This is a really nice little story I heard. So yeah, she was very good friends with Anthony Perkins, who of course was famously gay. I mean, at the time of his life, I think he was closeted, because obviously to be a gay actor in Hollywood was you were immediately pretty much blacklisted. But yeah, there was this story I heard where, because she was friends with him and one of his partners, she would help in covering up his sexuality by just sort of pretending to go on double dates with him and things like that, and just help him keep his secret basically, and just help shield it from the press, which is just nice little tidbit.
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
really cool.
But yeah, it's another Psycho connection. I gotta give major props to my gal, Patricia Jessel.
She is
Mrs. Newless.
She passed away only 8 years after this film.
Yeah, this was devastating to me. We lost her very young. I think she was only 47 or 48 years old. I've never seen her in anything else. I've only ever seen her in this. But I think she is great.
She is. She absolutely is. During that whole burning scene, she is absolutely fantastic. She hasn't.
Yeah.
Just that glare into the camera at the end. But like you said, when she just starts laughing.
I just really love that moment where, she's begging the devil to help her. And then there's that moment where, the crowd is chanting for her to burn, and she starts panicking. There's just that sudden moment of realization where it dawns on her that, devil's gonna help her here. And I just love it when she starts kind of like maniacally laughing. I think she's great. I also think that whole burning sequence at the beginning is really well done. Kind of daring for a film this early on in the horror genre. I mean, it's not particularly graphic, but I mean, it's quite intense.
Yeah, I mean, bear in mind, obviously, England, we also have our own, history of killing witches.
Totally.
Or women accused of witchcraft is something that we have in common with the Americans. And
literally, there was a whole book based around how to do it.
Yeah.
there was an instruction manual. What was it called? Malleus Maleficarum, or something like that. There was literally like a step-by-step guide as to how to do it. Yeah. Not a great time to be a lady.
Dark history for both countries.
Yes, but I also I was just going to say I love how Patricia Jessel acts also just throughout the film. Like she doesn't really have a huge ton of dialogue. She's very enigmatic.
She's a terrifying looking woman.
It has to be said, she's very stern. Like there's this constant sort of look of disdain that she has, but she acts a lot with her face, just by like that moment where Nan is on the bed and she's all excited. She's talking to Mrs. Newless about all the history that she's learned. And Mrs. Newless is just staring at her, just totally uninterested, knowing full well that this girl's going to be dead by the end of the night.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, but going back to Venetia, a wardrobe for this is fantastic, isn't it?
I love it. I really, really do. This is the great thing about these kind of films is that, that they are basically something of a little time capsule. And her wardrobe is gorgeous. I mean,
her herself, she was also a gorgeous woman.
Yes.
And we were reading that she was often regarded as the most photogenic woman in the world.
I can believe it.
I can completely understand. I can completely see that.
She's absolutely stunning. But yeah, so I've always really liked her. The costume choices for her are great, but that corset. I mean, that corset, man, she's wearing that just for herself. And it's so elaborate. It's got the little, like, frilly things on the thighs as well. I do love that moment where she just strips out of it and there's what's the reason that she's wearing that, really? It's for no one's benefit but hers.
The built-in bullet bra.
The built-in bullet bra, yeah. The pointy bras, they were a thing. I'm happy that they're no longer a thing. It is just like going back in time when you watch it. I love her hairstyle as well. Very elaborate. Obviously, it's just not something that we see now. Even the guys, the way that they dress in the suits and very, very smart. But yeah, what a little twist.
Yeah. I definitely did not see that coming the first time I watched it. It's like when you watch Psycho. When you don't know how it goes, you never expect.
Totally, yeah. It very much sets it up that, she's going to go to Whitewood and she's going to uncover the fact that Mrs. Newless is actually Elizabeth Selwyn and, she's going to reveal it and she's going to put a stop to them. Nope.
No. I do like because
nope.
As soon as she is captured, she knows exactly what is about to happen.
She does, yeah.
She absolutely does. I think she even had she had the idea prior that witchcraft was happening.
Yeah, I think it does.
The city.
In the non-city, this very, very tiny little town, little village. Yeah. I think it kind of posits the idea that her brother is a science teacher, a science lecturer. Her boyfriend is a student of his, I think. So she's kind of the odd one out in the family, and that she's the superstitious one. She's the one that's interested in witchcraft and this kind of this side of history. So yeah, I don't think she would have made the trek to Whitewood or have invested this much time if she wasn't something of a believer in it herself.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe she was trying to impress Christopher Lee.
Maybe she was just trying to impress Christopher Lee. By the way, we both went to university. We've never had a lecture quite like that in my lecturer's living room. That never quite happened.
I don't know if it's maybe a living room or just his office or a class.
I don't know. There were a lot of couches.
How does it function with so few students? But also, Christopher Lee can't hide his accent. Christopher Lee sounds like Christopher Lee.
It's just about to kick off. We're now very much going into, I guess, the second half. It's not a long movie by any means.
No.
We've got less than an hour to go now, but yeah, what a shocker.
Basically, this movie is Psycho with witches.
It's
And like you said, Brian, we are going to see some more comparisons. So yeah, sit back, go refresh your drink, go get a snack because the movie is about to continue.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Susie. Happy birthday to you.
Yummy. Delicious.
Dick, have you got any idea what's happened to Nan?
I'm sure she'll show up. She probably met a good-looking he-witch and is bringing him along to the party, only their broomstick blew a gasket.
Oh, it's not like Nan to be late for anything. Aren't you a bit worried about her?
Oh, she'll be here. I'm sure she'll make it. Oh, it's probably her now.
Well, you answer the door, and I'm going to put a record on for some dancing.
All right.
Hi, Dick.
Bill.
Oh, what's the matter? You expecting somebody else?
Oh, yes, Nan. Look, come in, come in.
Well, Nan, didn't you hear yet? We made a date to meet here before she left for Whitewood.
Well, she probably got held up. Look, give me your coat, huh?
Ah, Nan was never late for anything in her life.
Relax. Take it easy. Join the party. She'll be here.
Dick. Dick, I haven't had a letter from Nan in over 2 weeks now.
She's probably been too busy working on her paper.
No, there's something wrong, I know it. Look, will you do something for me?
Hmm?
Ring up Whitewood, will you? Ask him if she's left.
You serious?
Yes, I am.
Okay. On a long distance? I'd like to speak with Miss Nan Barlow at the Raven's Inn, Whitewood. No, I don't know the phone number.
What? Didn't she give you the phone number?
Oh, I know, but that's my sister. They say there's no such place as the Raven's Inn.
But that's crazy. She's staying there.
Give me the police.
She left in such a hurry, she must have forgotten to return it to you, Miss Russell.
She seems such a nice girl, too. Wouldn't have thought she was the sort who'd forget to return a book.
We cannot always judge by our first impressions, can we?
I'm not usually wrong about the people I lend my books to.
Well, perhaps you'll be more careful in future.
Thank you for letting me have it.
Remember me to your grandfather. Lottie, get out of the way, you clumsy creature.
Can I help you?
Yes, we're from the sheriff's office. We had a call this evening. A missing persons report from some college kid named Nan Barlow. The party calling said that her last known whereabouts was the Raven's Inn.
And Barlow, that's strange. Yes, I met her.
When did you last see her?
About 2 weeks ago. She came to my shop and borrowed this book. It's quite valuable, and so not hearing from her, I decided to come and get it. Mrs. Newless had it.
May I?
Yes.
A treatise on devil worship. I must put this in the report. Peculiar things some of these college kids do nowadays. Well, thanks for your help. Come on, Charlie.
Hello? Yeah? It's police. Yeah? Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Well?
The police sent a car out to the Raven's Inn. Nan checked out 2 weeks ago.
I don't get it.
Well, neither do I.
Look, these are Nan's books and papers. Go through them. See if you can find anything which might give us a lead. I'm going to pay a visit to a colleague of mine.
O Lord of Light, accept this sacrifice. Barlow.
May I come in?
Well, yes, of course, please do. Take your coat.
I tried to phone you last night, but I guess you weren't in.
No, I wasn't. Would you care to go in the study? Sit yourself down.
Thanks.
You take a drink?
Ryan soda.
Ice?
Please.
So what's on your mind?
Well, Nan's missing. And she has been since the day after she arrived at Whitewood.
Really? You quite sure?
That's what the police said.
What are they doing about it?
Carrying out a routine check. I don't suppose they can do much more until they've got something definite to go on.
Well, I would have thought there was a very great deal more they could do.
What? As far as they're concerned, she disappeared 2 weeks ago and no one in the village seems to know anything about it.
What did you come see me for?
I thought you might have some ideas. Why did you send her to Whitewood?
Because it was the best place for her research.
And you suggested she stay at the Raven's Inn.
Sure, it's the only inn there is.
With an unlisted phone number?
The inn has its own clientele, Barlow. It doesn't need to advertise.
How do you know it so well?
Because I was born in Whitewood.
I see. And you'd have every reason to believe she'd be perfectly safe in going there.
I have no reason to suppose that she wouldn't be. Nan struck me as being perfectly capable of taking care of herself.
Yeah, I grant you that, but why hasn't she come back or let us know?
Look, Barlow, I can understand your anxiety, but I'm quite sure there's nothing for you to worry about. Nothing at all. She's probably got absorbed in the subject and gone off someplace. I wish that all my class had her application.
Yeah, well, I'm going to find out where this application led her. I'm going to retrace every step Nan took. I'm either going to find Nan or know what happened to her.
I can't stop you from going.
No.
I'm not afraid.
Afraid? Why?
Well, if anything did happen to your sister and somebody else went along to try and find out about it.
Same thing might happen to them?
Possible.
You seem to think something happened to my sister then.
No, I just think you're jumping to conclusions, Barlow.
Maybe, but I shall find her.
Professor Driscoll,
Yes.
I don't like to disturb you, but may I see you?
Well, of course, please come in. Good luck in Whitewood.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, but did you say he was going to Whitewood?
Yes, he is.
It's silly to be surprised, but I've just come from Whitewood.
Really? Quite a coincidence. My own family happens to come from Whitewood. As a matter of fact, I was born there.
Yes, I know.
Please sit down.
Thank you.
Do you care for a drink?
No, thank you. I think you know my grandfather, the Reverend Russell.
Russell? Why, yes, of course I do. How long have you been living in Whitewood?
Since my grandmother died a few weeks ago.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, now, how can I help you?
I've come about a pupil of yours, Barlow, Nan Barlow.
Yes?
She came to Whitewood 2 weeks ago. I met her and liked her, and she told me that she was a student in one of your classes, that you recommended that she stay at the Raven's Inn.
That's quite right, I did.
Well, that's what I've come to see you about. On the day after she arrived, she disappeared.
Oh?
Later, the police came asking questions. Her family were worried. I thought you might have their address.
And why do you want her family's address?
Because I have something of hers I want to return.
Well, you just leave it with me, and I'll make sure they get it safely.
Well, I don't want to trouble you. If you just give me their address.
As you wish. Her address is Dorchester Street, 225. She lives with her brother. As a matter of fact, he's a colleague of mine. You just met him. He was leaving when you arrived. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a lot of work to do. I'm rather a busy man at the moment.
Of course. Thank you for your help.
Not at all. I hope it achieves something. Well, you will remember me to your grandfather, won't you?
Yes, of course. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Miss Russell.
Yeah, that's Nan's locket, all right.
As far as I know, it's unique. I gave it to her. Where did you get it?
The servant at the inn gave it to me. It was strange. I don't think she wanted Mrs. Newless to know I had it.
Mrs. Newless?
Oh, she runs the inn.
Well, why did you come here, Miss Russell?
I found this.
It's Professor Driscoll's notepaper.
I found it in the pages of a book I lent your sister on her first evening in Whitewood. When she didn't return it, I went to the hotel.
What was the book?
An old book. Book about witchcraft.
Do you believe in it, Miss Russell?
I don't know. Sometimes I almost think I live with it.
Live with it?
It's an obsession of my grandfather's. Up till now, I didn't take him very seriously. He's an old man. But now I'm beginning to wonder if what he says isn't true.
What does he say?
That there's something evil about the village. That on certain nights, the inhabitants leave the streets, close their doors, and stay behind them. That on these nights, the dead come to life.
Nights like Candlemas Eve?
What do you know about Candlemas Eve?
It's in one of Nan's books.
I don't believe it. Things like this don't happen today.
In Whitewood, I wonder.
I'm going to Whitewood tomorrow after classes. I can give you a lift.
Thank you, but I must get back. I can't leave my grandfather alone. He's blind.
May I come and see you when I arrive? I'd like to have a talk with him.
Please do. It's the house next to the church. Goodbye.
Bye.
I'll see you to the door.
Going to Whitewood?
Yes.
Would you take me along with you? It's a dark night for walking. You're the Reverend Russell's granddaughter, aren't you?
Yes, how did you know?
I know a great deal about Whitewood.
Have you ever been there?
Now and then.
Never seen you.
To see me is a special privilege. It's reserved for a chosen few.
What does that mean?
We'll soon be at Whitewood now.
This is as far as I go. You will...
She's pretty, too.
Yes, she is. Very pretty.
A living descendant of those who were cursed. It somehow seems to make it better.
Another day.
And tomorrow.
The witch's Sabbath.
Which way to Wamport Road?
Straight ahead, fork in the road, you see a sign, turn left. You heading for Whitewood?
I am. Many people head this way?
Not many.
Is this the only way in and out of the town?
Misdirection, yep.
You wouldn't remember by any chance a pretty girl in a convertible about a month ago?
Barlow girl. Read about her in the papers. Never seen her again. Told the police.
Thanks.
Could you tell me the way to Whitewood, please?
Another one. Straight ahead, fork in the road, you see a sign, Wamport Road, turn left, takes you right in.
But thanks.
Let me warn you, young fella, they don't like strangers in Whitewood.
Okay, fine. Thanks very much.
Bill probably would have been better just getting a lift with
yeah, with
the
Dick.
brother. With Dick. I don't understand why they didn't just travel. I know he's trying to follow him. I don't get why he doesn't say, "Look, can I come with you? I'm worried about it." I'm sure he would have been like, "Yeah, come on then."
Yeah, I don't know if maybe there was a deleted scene or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, Bill definitely would have been better off.
Yeah. Also, upon further investigation, I do believe you are right. That is Christopher Lee's, Alan's home.
Yeah, it's not an office,
which is weird.
It is, like I say, it's strange. It's strange that your lecturer would conduct like lessons from the private home. I don't really understand it. Maybe they just did it different in the 60s, you know.
We now know who our actual leading lady is of this film.
Yes, Pat.
Yeah, Patricia Russell, played by Betta St. John. This was her final acting role.
It was.
And she's still alive today. She's 93.
Good on her.
And I couldn't find a reason. I'm sure we don't do, but I couldn't really see a reason why she stopped acting.
Don't quote me on this, but it seems it happened a lot back in that time where actresses, they'd get married and they'd become mums and they would either voluntarily give it up, just, to look after the family, or, maybe, I don't know, maybe becoming a mum wasn't so welcoming for the production companies. But it seems a lot when you do research into, other actresses around that time. As soon as they, start a family, they just
drop off.
Yeah. It happens sometimes. Again, I don't know if that's the reason. I'm just kind of assuming that it is. But yeah, she is now our new female, our new final girl, I guess.
The only American actor.
Yes.
Out of the lead cast, an actual American in this film set in America.
Yes. And one scene I do find particularly interesting, just to draw a comparison, I guess, between Pat and Nan, is the scene in the car with Jethro. Because obviously this scene happened earlier on in the movie where Nan, she's on her way to Whitewood and she sees Jethro and he kind of invites himself into the car. And Nan is, she's being her typical self. She's very chatty. She's very inviting. And he even makes a comment later on about, how she's very pleasant company. Very, very creepy. But then, fast forward to this scene with Pat, and she is immediately on edge about the guy. She's not inviting conversation. She's clearly quite nervous. She doesn't like the fact that he's in her car. And so I do find that quite interesting. I mean,
maybe she's meant to be a little bit older, or maybe just because she spent more time.
Yeah, I think it's
around the creepy things that are going on.
Yeah, and we've also just had a scene, I guess, with her and Bill and Dick where they've, she's saying, maybe I should listen to my grandfather more, where he warns me about the evilness of the town. So she's already a little bit on edge, but I do like the difference there, I don't know if the film is sort of alluding to the fact that, the final girl is the one that's a bit more on her guard rather than the sort of happy-go-lucky character at
wandering
the beginning.
off on your own to
Wandering off on your own, just like random little villages.
You made a note about loving the random jazz when they all start driving.
Yeah, I do. It's an interesting. I enjoy it, but it is an interesting choice for the production. I don't know if it's meant to be diegetic. So we heard it just then where Bill and Dick are driving in their car. So I don't know if it's meant to be music playing on their radio or if it is just, a very unusual film score. But either way, yeah, I like it. It's part of the film's charm.
Also, do all these characters live next door to each other? Because obviously we see Bill watching Dick set off. And then he sets off. And then Christopher Lee is stood in the window watching him set off.
Small town.
Do they all live next door to each other?
I don't know.
It's
a good point.
Can I have their address? Oh yeah, he's next door. 2 doors down.
They're all just next door. I know. I also noticed that as well. What's Christopher Lee doing just looking outside the window at Maitland driving off?
Acting very vampiric.
Hiding in the shadows. Yeah, it's not a twist at all, is it, that Christopher Lee is a bad guy, that he's in on it?
No, not at all.
I don't think that shocked anybody.
He's played some of the most famous bad guys in cinema history.
Well, this also would have only been, 2 years after Dracula? His debut as Dracula?
Yeah.
That was 58, I believe.
You know what I find really interesting about this? Like when I was looking into it, it was originally written as a pilot for a TV show. That was going to star Boris Karloff. I'm imagining that would have been some sort of villain of the week style supernatural show. It could have been really interesting.
Could have been interesting. So Karloff was meant to be a character within the story.
I think he's going to be the lead.
Oh.
Yeah.
He looks very different to Venetia Stevenson.
He does. I would much rather watch a show with Venetia Stevens.
What does Boris Karloff look in a corset? We might be doing him an injustice here.
Maybe. And on that note, I think we should continue the movie.
The final stretch. The final 20 minutes, guys.
Yeah. Like I said, this is not a long movie. Did Bill survive?
We'll just have to see.
Tune in next week. Same bat time. Same bat channel. If anyone gets that reference, then we could be friends.
Press play.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like a room, please.
The inn is closing.
I'll only be here a few days.
But the inn is closing.
When?
In 2 days.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to stay until then.
If you insist.
Could I have the same room my sister had? Still available, isn't it?
Yes, it's available.
Mrs. Newless, you told the police that my sister checked out.
You are mistaken, Mr. Barlow. I told them that on the morning of February 2nd, I went to her room and found it empty, her bed not slept in, her luggage and car gone, and her bill unpaid.
Well, you can put the charges on mine. When was the last time you saw her?
On the evening of February 1st. It was shortly before midnight. She'd been in the lobby here dancing with some of the guests. She seemed to be enjoying herself.
Did any particular guest pay a special attention to her?
And not that I noticed. Your sister kept very much to herself.
You know why she came to Whitewood?
It is not my habit to inquire into people's private business.
Would the fact that she was investigating witchcraft have antagonized anyone in the village?
Hardly. There have been other students here, you know. Besides, your sister was a very agreeable and likable young woman.
Well, have you any idea where she might have gone?
None.
Thank you. Now, may I see the room?
As you wish. It is this way. should need anything and I am not at the desk, you have only to ring the bell.
Thank you. Hello.
I'm so glad you've come. I saw your car outside the Ravens Inn earlier. I wondered what had happened to you.
I've been talking with Mrs. Newless, and then I took a walk around the village.
Find out anything?
Everyone here seems to be afraid of something.
And you don't think it's just my imagination?
I don't know. Who's to say where imagination ends and truth begins? It's nothing tangible. It's just the way they look at you.
I felt it too.
May I see the book that Nan borrowed?
Yes, I put a marker between the pages where she must have stopped reading. Just sit down and I'll tell my grandfather you're here.
Thank you.
I warned you, Lottie.
Grandfather, this is Mr. Barlow.
How do you do, sir?
God be with you.
Shall we sit where we'll be more comfortable? Here's your chair, Grandfather. You must be tired.
I am really tired. I have little strength left these days for the fight.
Won't you sit down? I'll make some coffee.
The fight against what, Mr. Russell?
Against the evil that besets this village. The people are creatures of the devil. They know no other God.
You mean they worship Satan here? Today?
Satanism was never stronger than at the present time. For 200 years, the people of Whitewood have carried out rituals that mock the church's teaching.
I find it very hard to believe, sir.
Do not doubt, my son. It is real enough. For years, I struggled against the witches. Their master took away my sight.
Seems incredible.
I have tried to convince others. They too found it unbelievable. But I know these people have a pact with the devil to worship him and do his works. In return, he gives them eternal life.
Eternal life?
Aye. And to seal this bargain, They must sacrifice a young girl on 2 nights of the year.
When are these nights, sir?
Candlemas Eve and the Witches' Sabbath.
Candlemas Eve, that's February the 1st. And when is the Witches' Sabbath?
Tonight.
Now you know why I came to see you.
I had no idea it was so late. May I have a rain check on the coffee? I'd like to have a few words with Miss Newless again.
Of course.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
I'll see you to the door.
God be with us.
Oh, Miss Russell, do you think that Nan's disappearance is connected in some way with these witches' ceremonies?
Yes,
Well, I'd like to come back later, if I may.
please do. And my name is Pat.
Oh, mine's Richard.
I think I feel better now you're here.
Well, I'm going to stay until I find out what's happened to Nan.
Take care. Now drink your coffee before it gets cold.
You must not see that young man again tonight.
Why not?
The devil comes in many disguises.
I'll get you a spoon. Grandfather, there's a bird in the drawer. It's got an arrow through it.
Go and look on the front door.
It's a sprig of woodbine.
Shut the door quickly.
Grandfather, what does it mean?
Now listen, my darling. This is their sign, the witch's sign.
What can we do?
We must leave here. Leave here immediately.
Stop the car. Something's wrong. They've wrecked the car.
Barlow! Phone Barlow!
Hello? Hello? Hello, I want the Ravens Inn.
Yes, Mrs. Newless. Mr. Barlow.
That for me?
Yes.
Hello?
Dick? Dick, I'm in terrible danger. We've got to leave Whitewood at once.
Danger? But from what?
We've got to leave...
Pat!
Please help me!
Patricia! Pat!
Pat! Patricia! Mr. Russell, are you there?
What's happened, Mr. Russell?
The witches have Patricia. Destroy them.
Mr. Russell, how?
The shadow of the cross. Use the cross. I adjure thee, O creatures of salt, by the living God.
Mr. Russell. Maitland! Maitland, what's happened? Hello. Hello, operator?
We've been waiting for you.
Dick, these are the dead who killed Nan.
Barlow.
Help me.
Come on, Pat, quicker!
Dick, right. Dick!
Maitland! Get to a cross! A cross! A shadow of a cross!
moving.
Lift the cross!
Quick!
Jesus, folks, I'm journeyed by the living God. Back from the cross! Come nearer, Bill! Get the shadow of him!
It comes nearer.
Not fail. We must finish the sacrifice.
Dick!
Dead!
Wait! Wait for the hour of 13.
You right?
I think so.
Get a score to settle with Mrs. Lewis.
You stay here.
That was The City of the Dead.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got to throw some props out to Dennis Lotus in that
Yes.
whole last segment as Dick. I think he's fantastic. Now, he said he's a South African-born British singer and actor. He's had a very successful singing career. I think he's fantastic.
Well, he had a
in
very
this.
long life as well. He only passed away this year. He was 97 years old.
Wow.
I know. There's just something about the idea that you can be born that long ago where you have very vivid memories of World War II. You lived through all these incredible decades and even lived long enough to see COVID.
Yeah. And
What a
for that
life.
not to be what takes you out.
No, exactly. That's just staggering to me. But yeah, I think he's a really good leading man.
He's a very good-looking man.
He's a very good-looking man. Yeah, totally. And, props to Bill. He comes through.
Oh, Tom Naylor as
Yeah.
Bill Maitland.
I mean, he was never a bad character, but I mean, the poor guy is in a car crash. He gets a dagger in the back, and then he has to carry and lift the biggest cross I've ever seen.
Yeah. Also, I feel like the true curse of witchcraft is how to the rules you have to be.
The
fact they have to. No, we can't kill this person until this exact second. Like if anything distracts you, you're fucked. You're absolutely fucked. So they literally have to.
Yeah.
They're forced to be set on fire because they have to wait for this exact moment, otherwise they're all gonna die anyway.
Which I do. I totally get your point, but I do
I feel that's
like
across
it.
a lot of different material that includes witches' rituals. That everything is very
anything that involves devil worship. There's a lot of
strict
rules.
timekeeping.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where if the devil is actually around, it's like he doesn't play by rules. It doesn't play by rules. It's like it's one of those things. It's obviously really popular in film and TV. There's you got to do it to a code.
Yeah.
Which is ironically like the last thing that devil is all about. But I do like that we've got to wait until the hour of 13 just in terms of how it functions within the story, because, you know, there's a justifiable reason why they're not just killing Pat there and then when things start getting a little bit tense for them. It's like, no, they actually have to wait. Because otherwise they've got all the time in the world to kill her.
Yeah. What area, when you compare this to, like, say, a lot of Universal horrors and Hammer horrors from around the same time, where they'd always have, like, the big crescendo, the big ending, big event, big reveal, oh, the film's over. This actually was, for the time, a fairly drawn-out ending.
Yeah, I really
I
like
love
the
that
climax.
imagery of Bill carrying the cross, struggling, like, all the fog everywhere, and
Yeah.
that's all the famous.
Totally.
That's the most famous scene from this movie, I think.
Tom Naylor providing us film fans with, you know, fantastic film stills 60 years later, which we're probably going to take advantage of for this thumbnail.
Oh, absolutely.
Movie.
I just want to say, the priest Russell.
Oh yeah, yeah.
As soon as he enters the house, also we've met him briefly prior, but God, I would love to be able to enter a room backlit and surrounded by fog. It just looks great. If I could enter in black and white as well,
yeah,
I'd be even happier.
Yeah, so this is, I don't know if there is a colorized version of this film out there. I've never really looked, but I do think this is a film to only really see in black and white for the atmosphere alone.
You can get this on Blu-ray as well, which is incredible.
You can. Yeah, we saw it quite recently, actually, didn't we?
It was in HMV, yeah, of all places. So it must be quite a popular movie.
I'd like to think so. It's one of those films, because like I said at the beginning, I kind of grew up watching this film. It was a favourite of my parents. And we did eventually get it on DVD, but my memories are it was on British television quite a bit. I can't remember the channel. But to me, it was always one of those, you know, like little independent films. Like, not a lot of people in the horror community were aware of it, but... You know, I was watching it when I was little, so I wasn't really on the internet that much. I could be totally wrong. This could be quite a famous movie, and it must be, because there's still demand for it, clearly.
Yeah. And overall, it's a very cool movie. I've watched it twice this year now. I enjoy it from beginning to end. I like the characters. I think the plot is quite interesting.
Yeah, it's a very, you know, it's a self-contained little story. There's nothing particularly, you know, like grandeur about it or anything. It's just it's a story about witches. It was made on a very low budget, with, you know, some decent performances, and it works. You know, it's got a solid beginning, middle, and end, which is all you can really ask for.
But at no point when watching this do I think, oh, this is definitely set in America.
Yes, yeah, that's fair, but it doesn't detract from the story.
Whitewood must be pretty close to where they all live, because they all seem to travel there with relative ease.
Relative ease, yeah. And I do love that guy, you know, that works at the garage. It's like all his dialogue is basically just directing people to Whitewood. And you can tell by the third time he has to do it, he's like, turn left.
Follow the last guy. Any of you got to buy gas?
Yeah, I know. He just looks so frustrated.
What's even like the antique store and bookstore that Pat runs, there can't be a lot of foot traffic.
No, there can't be.
How do you run a business in a village like this?
We know by the character's own admission that Whitewood is very much off the beaten track. It's established at the beginning when Dick and Bill try and call the Ravens in that it's not listed publicly. And then Mrs. Newless says to Dick when he arrives at the inn looking for a room that, the inn is closing in a couple of days. So, you know, there's a lot of questions there. Does the inn just become totally inactive during the times when the witches don't need to murder anybody? Does it disappear? It clearly doesn't function as an inn throughout the rest of the year. I mean, I can't imagine it does.
Yeah.
Or does Mrs. Newless and Jethro just disappear until the next Candlemas Eve? We don't know.
We don't know. There's a couple of unanswered questions, but they're definitely not running an inn all year round because their customer service is dreadful.
It's pretty bad.
Even if you take the murdering aside, it's pretty dreadful.
Yeah, it's not great. But yeah, I love this little film. I also really like the ending. Mrs. Newless appearing in her chair by her plaque. That scene always used to genuinely scare me when I was little. It's good makeup actually too, burnt makeup.
I was like a lot of the cool fire stunts.
Really good fire stunts, actually. Yeah, it's a good climax. You know, like there's a lot of action in it, and yeah, I like you say it there's not an abrupt ending. I like the transition into the credits and how the music just kind of crescendos. Yeah, it's really well done.
Thanks for stopping by this week, guys, for this little experiment.
Yes, we're not as sexy as Elvira.
No, I wonder where you were going with that one. I thought you maybe say, "Oh, we're not as sexy as Joe Bob."
Or Joe Bob. I mean, whatever takes your fancy. We're probably not as sexy as Boris Karloff in a bullet bra either. But
no, maybe not. But we thought this could be a little. We always want to try new things, and we do enjoy doing the full commentaries. But we want to mess around with our animated characters.
And this allows us to sort of talk a little bit more about the trivia as well, which we can't always really do with a commentary.
Yeah, without fully just interrupting the flow of
exactly.
the film.
Exactly.
We'll add some few breaks to it. I can put chapters in so you guys can skip around. So let us know what you think of this setup, and we might bounce between the two.
And also, if you could recommend us a few more public domain films, that would be rather lovely as well. We've got a few in mind.
Yeah.
But it never hurts to hear of a few suggestions.
Thanks a lot, guys. We will see you for our regularly scheduled programming on Thursday.
Bye.